The first elbow strike can accelerate to a speed of 25 miles per hour in less than a quarter of a second. Less than a third of a second later, the initial strike is followed by another, equally devastating shot.
By employing the bony tip of the elbow, these strikes deliver a double dose of injury-producing energy and can result in a broken nose, facial fractures, or a wicked cut. The key to this move is kick speed and kick placement. Powered by the rotation of the hips and the strongest muscles in the body, the quadriceps, at the point of contact, the kick is traveling 25 miles per hour and can impart 550 pounds of force.
The wider the foot travels from the center of its axis, the more speed and power it picks up. More than enough to cause a knockout or concussion. Delivered to the neck, it can fracture the cervical vertebrae. The secret to the move is wrist control. By rotating your opponent's wrist to the maximum extent of its range of motion, the bones of the wrist lock against the bones of the forearm and make it impossible to bring the strong muscles of the upper arm to bear.
Then, you can pull your opponent off balance and into a potent knee strike. The combined force of the knee strike and your opponent's forward momentum can be as much as 2,000 pounds, enough to dent you.
The move works by using your opponent's own body weight against him. The first strike can land at speeds greater than 20 miles per hour and can stun your opponent with the same injury-producing energy as dropping a bowling ball from over 11 feet onto his torso.
By using his arm as a lever in conjunction with the leg sweep, you drive your opponent to the ground. Once he is on the ground, you follow up with a devastating strike to his face.
The goal of this lock is to stretch the tendons at the top of the foot to the breaking point. The strongest tendons have a tensile force threshold of just over 400 pounds. Applying any more pressure than that can tear the tendons from their base or snap them in two.
By bending the elbow across the fulcrum of your hips, you're subjecting the weak joint to the leverage of two strong forces: the pull of your thighs on his shoulder and your hands on his wrists. As little as 1,000 pounds of force can be enough to destroy the elbow. The leverage of the armbar can supply much more than that.
Balayage Pomali relies on something called a flexion moment imparted to the neck to do damage. An average man's neck can withstand about a 140 foot-pound flexion moment. Beyond that, soft tissue and even vertebrae can be crushed. By bringing your weight down fast, this move could easily deliver twice that amount of force. And it wouldn't just end a fight, it could leave your opponent paralyzed or dead. The rotation of the torso is the basis for the strike's power. Because the torso has an effective mass far greater than the arms, its rotation can impart up to 400% more force to your target. And the last-minute rotation of the wrist can magnify that force even more.
Leaning back slightly and driving the knee up utilizes the full power of the thigh, and the foot accelerates up to 16 miles an hour in just 1/4 of a second. That's twice the acceleration speed of a Porsche. Coupled with the rotation of the hips, the kick can impart 450 pounds of force upon impact with the ribs. When executed perfectly, it's a motion similar to cracking a 2x4 with a sledgehammer. By grabbing the wrist, you provide hundreds of pounds of additional leverage. This reduces your opponent's ground weight by half and allows you to more easily knock your opponent off balance. The rotation of the hips then amplifies the power of the leg sweep. Coupled with the wrist grip, you are in complete control of your opponent's body.
This kick is all about speed. The further the foot travels, the greater its acceleration, and the more dangerous a weapon it becomes. Powered by the muscles of the hip flexor and the quadriceps, by the time your foot reaches your opponent's throat, it's traveling nearly 40 miles per hour. That type of speed yields over 1,000 pounds of force, enough to puncture the Adam's apple and crush your windpipe. It's aimed at the largest gland in the human body, the liver. A direct hit won't just bring an opponent down, it can rupture the gland, causing severe internal bleeding. But the liver is well protected by the rib cage, so the kick must be accurate to within half an inch.